Interim.
Yeah, just have a little jingle, BCB jingle.
Yeah.
Right, should we get going with it?
Yeah.
Right, so this is a new format for us. We kind of had a little tinker with it in lockdown, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I don't know why we stopped. I think we just
Got back to the gym and everything went really crazy. And
got busy with everything. And it's something that I do. I do lots of podcasts. I do one every single week. But it's mostly not gym-related stuff. Sometimes it is, but I thought, why not give it a try?
Give it a whirl. I mean, I'm not the most gym fanatic person in the world, although I do manage BCB. But I do try hard. I try to make it as positive of an environment that we can make it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's kind of what I wanted to do. I want this to be more casual, because a lot of our content that we put out, it's always, this bit of information, this exercise, these meals, this, you know what I mean? It's always very instructional, and I think like a lot of the time, the thing that we actually get complimented on the most is always like the environment, and that everyone's chatty and friendly and nice and supportive, and we actually give a shit about our members. We talk to them and like know what's going on with them, and we just ask them if they're okay and things like that. And obviously they know things about us because we talk about things that are going on with us too. Yeah,
everyone takes like an interest in each other's lives, and I do wear it like a badge of honour when someone comes in and like brand new, give a gym tour, I can name everyone in the gym.
Yes, I do that as well. I didn't know you did that.
Like, oh, that's Jill. She's doing X, Y, Z. I know she hit a PB last week, and da-da-da. And then that kind of puts people a bit at ease, because I genuinely try to take an interest in the members and what they're doing and how they're progressing and stuff like that.
Yeah. I didn't realise you did that as well. But yeah, whenever I'm on a gym tour and I'm literally just like bang, 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 just firing off the names across the gym, and then occasionally there's like somebody who's new in and I don't know, and I'm like, just pretend they're not there.
I didn't see them.
Yeah. I think that's something that is quite cool. But anyway, so like the whole point of the podcast is so we actually get a bit more of us in it. I thought if it works out quite well, if you seem to like this, just let us know. Leave a comment if it's on YouTube, or if this is on Instagram, comment as well. I don't know, however it...
Comment, like, share.
Yeah, all that jazz.
All
that stuff. And it'd be cool to be able to maybe get some members on that have got specifically like cool stories, or they've got kind of a specific goal that they're chasing after, or they've come from a certain kind of background which has made it a little bit more interesting, getting the coaches on so we can kind of learn a little bit more about them. So this is obviously a lot less formal than the other things that we've done, but hope everybody likes it.
Let us know. I don't know what the fucking finger pointing is, but we're gonna go with it.
Why not? We're pointing fingers today.
You might tell I'm a bit awkward on this because I don't really do these. Obviously, Lewis is a bit of a pro, like you said, but this is going to be my first one post-lockdown anyway. Yeah,
it's not too bad once you get into it. The first 5 minutes of a podcast are always the most like challenging parts, because you're really aware that I'm being filmed, I'm being recorded. And especially I remember my first few, I was like, who the hell is going to want to listen to me? Like, why would anyone want to listen to me? And I still don't really understand why, but people do. But now I've got a bit more confidence because people listen. So it's a bit of a bizarre one, but you'll be fine. And also, it's actually beer in here. You can't tell, but it's a beer. So if we get a bit rowdy later on, that'll be why.
Get the shots out and just like do a few more of those.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to, like I said, dig into like the kind of the reasoning behind it. So if I start off with what I remember from you, so if people don't know, me and Liam are brother-in-laws-ish, kind of. I'm not technically married to Emma, but we've been together like 13 years, so we're as good as married. And Liam is married to Emma's sister, Hannah. So we're brother-in-laws, but kind of not technically.
Loose connection.
Yeah, exactly. So we've known each other for years now, haven't we? Like, probably 10 years? How long have you and Hannah been together?
Well, me and Hannah have been together since 2011, so that's 11 years.
And so I didn't know you super well at the start, and then just over the years.
Obviously, this random guy coming down from Manchester, and you was like, hey.
Yeah, exactly, just some random dude. We didn't really talk too much, but then when we'd like go away on some family holidays and we got to know each other a bit more, and you were really big into gaming, and I used to be really big into gaming, but I was in a bit of a an in-between stage. I was working loads and I didn't really have much time to play. But we had like some common ground, and we were always in situations where we were forced to talk to each other. So like that's kind of always where the conversations ended up going to. And then like years and years later, you started to like show a little bit of interest in kind of fitness. You gained some weight, right?
Yeah, so like way back when, obviously I had like cancer when I was 15. I kind of, my weight kind of like dropped off obviously due to the cancer, and then went on steroids and like, it blew up. And then after I came off the steroids and stuff like that, the weight kind of dropped off, but I was still overweight. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not the picture of gods that you see on Instagram and stuff like that now, but I'm a lot better than I was. Mm-hmm. And it was mainly down to like yourself helping with training, especially in the beginning, just like edging me into the gym atmosphere and like showing me the ropes, and it's not a scary place. And that's when we was training at like commercial gyms, because obviously BCB wasn't a thing at that point.
Yeah.
We started there when you showed me like the ropes and things like that, and I just didn't know what I was doing. I was flopping around like a fish and just basically killing myself every session, thinking that's what I needed to do. And then when I wasn't training with you, I was literally just going on the machines, going on the Stairmaster, because I was like, I know how to walk upstairs.
Yeah.
And then just destroy my legs and that, and then that's how I thought training would work. And then I didn't really get anywhere with the training and lost motivation and stopped doing it. And then ultimately stopped going to those commercial gyms, and then you opened BCA.
Yeah, and I think that's literally like, because I have consultations with like our coaching clients. I meet with all of our coaching clients beforehand, and you are literally like that story is like probably 80% of the consultations I have. People have gone in, they've tried to train at somewhere commercial, and they've just struggled really because they didn't know what they needed to do. And some of them, you got two types of people. You got people that will try really, really hard, and they'll either hurt themselves or they'll end up losing motivation because they're not seeing the results, even though they're absolutely busting their ass. And then people that always need a bit of encouragement, and they're very ginger about like trying new things, and when they do try something, they're just not putting in a huge amount of effort. Not because they're not deliberately trying, just because they don't actually know. Like a lot of people don't know what hard training is, and they think that they're training hard, but they're not. That's not a knock at them, but like there's so many people that have never had to physically exert themselves since maybe they were at school, and so they might have done like 20 or 30 years of never really testing any of their limits physically, and that's a scary like principle in the first place, and you never really would intentionally have somebody test the limits or go near them, because if you remember when we started, we tried to keep it kind of like
lightweight.
Yeah, relatively light overall, keep the volume lower, keep everything a little bit lower so you were never dying. Although I remember you always wanted to push. Yeah. Like I think that's definitely a thing as well. When you start training with somebody, that's just a bit of like motivation to push harder. And I think this was, quite a long time ago as well. And I wasn't as educated to not hold you back, but to maybe guide you to maybe not go for that extra set or add an extra 5 kilos or whatever else. I probably wouldn't, and it still happens now sometimes.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, it still happens now, and then you look over to me and you're just like, I'm going up to like 160, and then I'm like, are you sure? And you're like, yeah, and I'm like, okay.
I've misadded up the weights and I'm going like 180. I'm like, why is this so hard?
yeah, so that still happens now, but I think that's kind of part of the fun of it. If you're not like testing where you're at and having a little play around, it's a little bit dull, but
I think for like newbies and stuff like that, that is like a toxic formula, because they're going to go too hard, either hurt themselves or get to the point where the DOMs are going to be ridiculous in the next few days. It will kill our motivation. They don't want to come and train. And I know that's what happened with me. It was just a case that I was going there, like I said, busting your ass off, and then not wanting to train, and then your progression just like gets killed off. Because you're training for one day, you're off for like 3-4 days, you kill yourself again 3-4 days, and you're only doing like 1 to 2 sessions a week, when really you should lower that weight and volume, come in, train 3 to 4 times a week, and see that progression.
Yeah, that's it. And loads of people do that. They literally just absolutely annihilate themselves on that first session, and then just be completely like unable to move for days after, and then they think also it's just like, oh my God, is this what it's like? Is this what have I got to live with this like pain forever? Because I remember you thinking like, I can't do this.
Just constant DOMs, like 24/7. That is your life now. But it's not. I was listening to this other podcast a few weeks ago, and the guy was saying like his way of training is a case that you should never be sore just because of the volume. So if you're training to failure, you're missing it every other day, and you put it into point of pull-ups. So if it was a case of you do your complete set, you're going to fail on rep 10, he'll make you do five good reps, but then the next day you do 5 good reps, third day you do 5, then maybe the fourth you do 6, whereas the person that's doing 10 won't be able to do 10 the next day, or probably the day after. So by the end of the week, that person A's done 25 pull-ups, where person B's maybe done 10, 15, because they haven't killed themselves off.
Yeah, exactly, that's it. And balancing your recovery and understanding where those thresholds lie, that's something that takes a lot of skill. And it changes as well. Like, when you are a complete newbie beginner, you can get away with accidentally maxing out a little bit more frequently because you're still quite weak, relatively speaking, so you're able to recover a little bit quicker. But that dies off very, very quickly. 3 months, 6 months. And realistically, that's still not the actual optimal way of making progression. If you're somebody who's like maxing out every week, every session sometimes, you are actually making slower progress. And I know that it feels good because you're seeing the jumps and you're like, oh, I couldn't do this last week, now I can. Yes, it feels good you're doing because you're physically seeing the jumps, but there's a very kind of important difference between displaying strength and actually building strength. Yeah. And when you're at the start, yes, you're able to build strength and display it, but that'll die off real quickly. And also, if you're addicted to that feeling of hitting PBs day after day, you're fucked basically, because that's not going to stick around. That's not something that you're going to actually be able to maintain. No. I hit PBs like once every 3 to 6 months. Yeah.
And that's a long build-up, isn't it? It's like the conditioning beforehand to get you into that position to start training on your heavy sets to get to it. Yeah. Like you said, like we do see it from time to time. Someone coming in, pulling a PB pretty much every week. It's, like you said, it's just not sustainable.
Yeah, that's it. And again, like it's making sure that there's that balance, because you've got to enjoy the training, but also you don't want to. You don't want to be training. Well, maybe you do, I suppose. You train solely for enjoyment, and then whatever any physical changes happen, just happen. But most people, the reason they go in is because they do want some kind of physical change as well.
Yeah, they want to get healthy, they want to be fitter, they want to lose body fat, they want to see a six-pack.
Exactly. And I think as well, probably the one thing that is really important is when you are maxing out that frequently, your risk of injuries is considerably higher. Yeah. So then that's the real kind of crux of it, because if you're training really, really, really hard, you're making progress, then you hurt yourself, and then you have to take a month off, and then you're basically starting back at your baseline. Yeah. That's when people really get discouraged. Or some people, I knew somebody when, back when I was training in commercial gyms, and he had horrible deadlift form, and we all told him he had horrible deadlift form. He was strong, like he was pulling like mid-200s, and we weren't being dicks about it. We were just being like, look, you're
going to hurt yourself.
Yeah, you're going to hurt yourself. Like, yes, you're really strong, but like, it's not like there's going to be a ceiling that you're going to hit at some point very soon, and hopefully something doesn't go pop before then. And it did. And now, and it's like, I don't even know, like 6-7 years later, and he still hasn't hit the numbers that he hit back then, because he was out of lifting for years, and he's just never been that. He's never been that same person again.
And if he was to have fixed his form before that, he probably would have been hitting better numbers at this point and not injured himself as well.
It's taking that temporary ego check where you have to back down, because with any lift that you've got kind of poor form, most of the time the form is poor because you're putting your body in a shitty position that is basically making you mechanically stronger, even though there is a higher risk of injury. So, like a rounded back deadlift is a really common one. You'll see lots of people that just can't maintain proper form with and I'm not going to say it needs to be a perfectly neutral spine, because that's not realistic for maximal loads, but like, with the minimal amount of flexion, a little bit of bend is, within reason for most people. But yeah, when people are doing like that scared cat, like deadlift or a dog taking a shit deadlift,
I think a lot of, sometimes as well, it's just stubbornness that they've set out to hit this goal, and the progression's not been quick enough for them. So they're just like, fuck it, I'm going to do it however I can, and then that's how they end up getting hurt.
Yeah. So I kind of said how I remembered you getting into fitness was. What was it from your point of view with me, like trying to, and me not being super educated back then, trying to do my best to guide you to like where you needed to go? Because you just wanted to lose weight at the start, didn't you? You had no concern of building muscle or being stronger.
No.
It was just, and heart health as well.
Yeah, so like one of the side effects of, obviously, one of the side effects of one of the chemotherapies that I had is like a weakened heart. Now, Hannah will kill me because I'm going to say this wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's pronounced doxorubicin. Pretty sure. We'll find out when it comes out.
Yeah, it sounds right.
It sounds made up, so yeah, it's probably that one. And basically it affects your heart. And the overall guidelines is essentially don't lift more than 50% of your body weight, which in the big scheme of things, it's like a blanket rule that is just put out there because there's no research. And I'm not saying that this is for everyone. I've had a look into it, and there's nothing out there because the chemotherapy is not that old. Yeah. So you can't really go in it, and they're just putting that precaution in, saying like, don't do it because we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, they've got to like cover their own arse, haven't they? Really, they can't just say, oh yeah, you're fine, and then if something did happen, even if it was a 1% chance of something happening, and it did, and then you could go back and be like, well, you told me it was all right.
Yeah, exactly. So being very cautious about it, and like my training has been like so small in increments to get to where I am now in terms of the weight that I'm lifting. But like right at the beginning, it was just literally, I want to lose some body fat. I don't care about building muscle mass. I just want to lose the body fat. So it was like, I'm pretty sure that's just cardio. And like I was under all these illusions that if you wanted abs, you had to do like 1,000 sit-ups. You had to focus on that muscle group, and that the fat will dissolve from that spot.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work like that. Unfortunately, anyway, because
everyone would have abs otherwise, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly. Or like everyone's hang-ups, that's the part that they would just focus on training, that'll be it. So yeah, it was just a case that I wanted to lose body fat to begin with, and then I found that I enjoyed weight training a lot more than I did sitting on the bike or walking up a Stairmaster, having my earphones in and just watching a TV show, just trying to not focus on the excruciating pain of the Stairmaster.
Just not be present through it.
Yeah. I did find like through lockdown though, I took one of the exercise bikes home, and I was in a little apartment. So I was like, you don't really know how loud they are in the gym. In a small space, they are really loud. So like I was in this little flat, and all you hear was, and they're like, trying to burn some body fat. And then like towards the end, it was just, I need to hit so many calories. So I would just literally get Animal Crossing on, and I would just like pedal for 2 hours while I was playing Animal Crossing, chilled out. But yeah, it was still quite loud in there.
Yeah, because you, people probably don't know as well how you actually started. You started work with us, right? And then we went into lockdown like a few months later.
It was like, I'm going to start working at BCV. I think it was like November 2019. And I was like, right, okay. I'm like, just working my way in. And it was like, yeah, we're going to go into lockdown now. So you can't do anything. And I wasn't my background, obviously. I keep saying obviously. Yeah, obvious. You don't know me. No. My background, so when I was in Manchester, I worked in kitchens as a chef. Came down to Birmingham to move in with Hannah. Got a job cooking again, and then there was a job opening at Game. Went in there, and I was there for a few years. Yeah. And then from Game managing, I came here to managing. So literally, the terms of the gym format and things like that, I was completely new to it. I was able to bring my managerial skills over, but yeah, the whole gym etiquette and things like that, it was a bit different. But yeah, then literally 2020 went into lockdown, and it was like, so you need to make this work in a completely different thing. And everyone was in the same boat. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like someone had an edge over someone else. Nobody knew what they were doing. They're just trying to make the best out of a bad situation. Yeah. And that's why we did like a few podcasts, and like we put out some like training videos to do at home, and like what you can do with just a single plate, and getting some like duffel bags, what you can do with that, things like that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people appreciated it. I think a lot of people appreciated that you handed out all the kit.
Yeah. I still remember doing it on the night, and I was like, I was dying inside while it was happening. Genuinely, because like a lot of people don't know obviously BCB as a business, it's just popped up. But there was probably like 3 or 4 years of work for me beforehand with the setup, trying to get everything ready, saving. I was doing fucking 100-hour weeks and just not going out, doing anything, spending any money, just to try and accumulate as much as possible to be able to set up the business. And we'd not been going, we'd only done a couple of years, so we'd barely found our feet. Well, we hadn't really found our feet at that point. We were still, just about understanding who we were as a business and how to run a business. And then with lockdown coming, it was a scary time. The overall thought was like scary because I was like, we have no idea how long this is going to last, whether we'll survive it. But then also the physical, everyone emptying out the gym, it felt like the gym was closing. Because it was literally getting stripped bare. And the first time it happened, the first lockdown, we had like a couple of hours notice. So we literally put something out on social media saying like
first come,
first served. We quickly had a contract drafted up so they could sign off basically a waiver to like if they break it, they can they've got to contribute to replace the piece of equipment. And everyone was just running around like it was supermarket sweep.
It was you was in the office and trying to you was literally signing off on stuff people taking out.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting on the desk and the PTs were coming to me and it was like, is this the best decision?
No one was doing that.
No one. Well, there was no other gym that did it.
No.
And I remember going there and backing you completely. It was like, yeah, 100%. Lewis knows these members. Got completely faith in him. And in my head, I was like, "You're fucking crazy! You're handing out hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of equipment." But save the face. It was like, "No, this is the right decision."
Yeah.
All the members, credit to them, they all looked after the equipment. I mean, you can see it all today.
It's all still here.
Yeah, it's all pristine.
Came back clean and tidy.
Yeah. It was. But I think the members love the gym because it's such a community, but also because we take a genuine interest in their lives and we try to make it better. So like you said, the fact that no other gym was handing out equipment and that was a split decision. You was like, we just sat there and was like, I wonder what we're going to do. What's the thing? And you were like, I'm going to hand out all the equipment.
Yeah. Because I was just like, what? Because the problem was that everyone is so into training that's here. If you're listening and you're at a commercial gym, you're probably used to a lot of people that are just kind of half-assing it, and pretty much everyone who is taking it pretty serious, and this is a really important part of their life, whether they're still new to training and it's just something that they do because they need to keep the rhythm going, whether they're doing it because they're a competitive athlete, whether they're doing it to look after their mental health. Everybody who was here, I was just thinking about, fucking hell, this is so important to XYZ person. I was like, what are they going to do? It's like, I'm all right. I've got a gym full of stuff. Well, what are they going to do? And I was like, well, we've got an excess of stuff, so we could definitely give people some stuff. They're not going to have a huge amount, whether they get a kettlebell and a resistance band or a barbell and a couple of plates. There's definitely stuff that people could have. And I was like, and I think everyone will bring everything back and everything will be fine. But
the confidence you had, though, you played that so well. You was you was like, this is going to definitely work. And it was cold face, no wavering doubts. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm new to this business. I've been here 2 months, so I'm going to trust you.
Yeah, I think that's it as well. Without going too off topic, but being the owner, you always have to have that. You've always got to be rock solid with what you're doing. And you need to just, I don't know. But I don't know. I'm just a normal person. You know what I mean? I've never had a business before this, especially this scale. I'm kind of self-employed, but that's nothing in comparison of having a physical premises and staff and everything else that kind of goes on with this.
Yeah.
And you've always got to make sure that you're confident and you're sure in yourself. just because, there's other people that are kind of relying on you to make the decision. So if you're unsure about it, you're going to make them feel unsure about it, which is going to make them feel worse. So it's the responsibility of me to make sure that, staff and all the members felt like everything was going to be okay and we were just going to ride through it. Whereas internally, I was like, oh fuck, what the hell is going on? And I kind of was just like, well, if the gym goes under, we don't need the kit.
Go into liquidation, they'll come and they'll say there's nothing here.
Yeah, but sorry, we gave it to the members.
And they're all robbed off with it. We lost all our details. So.
Yeah, I know. So, and there was two of the members, Big Rich and Gaz, and they came in towards the end and like, Lewis, the exact words were, Lewis, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, it'll be okay. And they're like, really? I was like, I think it'll be okay.
But coming out, because I remember going in with you in the office for a little bit just to help you out with the amount of people and the amount of messages we were getting on social media, even for non-members. It was just you start handing out kit and things like that, and we did hand out a few pieces to the non-members or ex-members.
After the members kind of had their share.
The dregs.
Yeah, pretty
much. So much so that when we came to train, we was like, "Oh fuck yeah, we need to sort ourselves out." So.
We didn't have much left over, did we, on the first lockdown? Well, I actually took stuff home. I took bits home.
I had the bike, a kettlebell, and a resistance bike. Was it?
Yeah.
Your resistance band. That was
It was an interesting one, but I don't know. Everybody was so thankful for having the kit, and also the other thing that we tried to do was be very present with our social media. That's something that we were really pushed hard on, because we were like, there's no physical gym anymore.
No. So
all that we can do is be us, because that's what, again, going back to what I said at the beginning. Can you shut up? Going back to the beginning, we said that the main thing that we get complimented on, is how friendly everyone is and how comfortable they are to train here and how good the members are to each other and how much of a community we've got and all these nice things. So I was like, well, none of that relies on equipment or a building.
A physical place.
That's just us being us. When the coaches did the podcasts, we did informative videos based on basic equipment and what we had access to. And I don't follow a huge amount of other gyms just because I don't. But all the ones that I did pretty much all went silent on social media. And I think, a lot of people, obviously, a lot of other owners, independent gym owners, were really similar position to me of being pretty scared about what the potential is going to be. And then also because having a gym is tough, it's hard, long hours, lots to do, lots to figure out. I think a lot of them also just had it as a bit of downtime, whereas we worked we basically worked a 9 to 5, which was quite nice because that was better than normal. And we were on Zoom calls every single day.
Yeah, it was literally you were using so much data because you because you couldn't connect to your router or something like that, so you were just on your phone data. And sometimes it was just us. Sat on a Zoom call, not even talking to each other. We're just doing work. But it was just to have that bit of human contact again. Although it was through a screen.
We'd set up. We'd be talking in the morning, plan out what we had to do for the day, and then we just start doing it. But then there would be periods of time where we were both just silent on a call, just working away at something separate. But a lot of the time, that's what was happening in the office. We'd be working separately. But then if something popped up in our heads, or if I had a question and Liam knew the answer, or he had a question and I knew the answer, we just ask it then and there. So that was kind of a lot of the things that we did. And again, maybe some of you will remember the funny videos that we did. Was this for the second lockdown? Or was this the first? I can't remember.
It must have been the second because we had no notice, did we? Whereas the second one we had, I think it was a day's notice, and we closed a day early to do those.
Oh, we had it was when we emptied. Oh no, we emptied the kit. No, I think it was because it was going to happen on the Monday, I think. So then we closed early on Sunday, and then we were able to do it there. And we brought members in, and we were able to just record some of these. I thought they were hilarious. And people really liked them, to be honest. And again, that was another thing. Like everyone else, like everything you were hearing, it was a bad time, wasn't it? It was doom and gloom, really. Like, and everyone was stressing and worrying, and I was thinking, like, at least if we can make a joke about it, if we can make light of it, everyone else will think, oh, right, well, they're not worried, so we haven't got anything to be worried about. They know that, like, they wouldn't be making funny videos if they thought the gym was going to be shut and was never going to open again. So it means I've got nothing to worry about. It was an interesting time. I'm very, very glad it's over. But also, it was really handy for us. It gave us a lot of time to
figure out like stuff with the business and like a lot of the. Because obviously, like day to day, we're here, we're talking to the members, and we're very like front facing, which gives us limited time to do the back office stuff. Yeah. So that time was like really invaluable. So like, literally like writing handbooks and stuff like that.
Sorting processes for everything.
And so that was really invaluable for us during that time. But also like it was really good to just it kind of like took us out of the picture and we was able to see it as a full thing rather than being so in it all the time you can't see the wood through the trees.
Yeah, that's it. We were able to like work on the business opposed to work in the business. Yeah. And that did really make a huge difference. And I think it's shown because the amount that we've progressed, like the amount more clients that we're able to help now compared to at the start, it's just insane. Like and it's because everything's constantly being refined. We're always just adjusting things and we're always making changes to things, which is really cool to be able to be in that position where we're kind of comfortable to do that.
Yeah. So what was the main reason for setting up BCB?
Well, like I used to train at a pure gym years and years ago, and I kept getting told off for deadlifting. I kept getting told off for using chalk, which was a bit frustrating. I kept getting told off for having a bag with me because I kept, my belt and my bits and pieces, and you weren't allowed to have a bag on the gym floor. It had to be in a locker. But I thought, I need these things. I need my wrist wraps, and then I put them away, and then I might have my shoes, then I might have my belt, and
going back and forth.
Yeah. But I was like, but I'm okay. I'm not allowed a bag, but I'm allowed all these things. I was like, yes. I was like, okay, so if I take them all out the bag and strew them on the floor, that's okay, but the bag itself is not. I'm like, yes. I was like, I'll empty my bag out on the floor, put my bag in the locker.
Makes complete sense.
Yeah. And I understand, it's a commercial gym, so they've got probably like millions of members like across the country. So they can't be one rule for one for another. So yeah, it was just a little bit frustrating. And then when I moved into a house that had a garage, I was able to set up BCB version 1, which was 1 squat rack, 1 barbell. I had about 200 kilos of plates. I had some adjustable spin lock dumbbells that went up to about 40 or 45 kilos. Somewhere to do pull-ups, somewhere to do dips. And then I did build myself like a little deadlift platform. And that was it. And that was some of the best training that I'd ever had in my life up until that point, in literally the tiniest little garage. Like, you couldn't fit a car in there. I don't know why it was a garage. Like, I don't know why. But it was a
large shed.
Yeah, and it was great. It was really, really good. And it was because it forced me to focus on the basics, which the fundamental movements, the barbell movements, I might be biased because I own a gym called Black Country Barbell, but free weights movements in general, dumbbells, barbells, kettlebells, they do have an inherent benefit over jumping on plate loaded stuff, especially for people that are early to training, because you build that kind of that coordination, the balance, the proprioception, all these other things which you don't probably get as much with plate loaded equipment. And also, you're kind of working through ranges of motion which are more applicable to real life situations. If you need to pick up, heavy shopping bags, or pick up your kid off the floor, or whatever you might have come across. But anyway, so it's kind of I've lost my train of thought there. What was I saying?
That you was in your garage.
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah, and so it was like focusing on the basic stuff and the environment. I was able to like put some decent music on, not stress about, oh man, someone's on the leg press, which means every 20 plates in the gym is now gone. Feel pressure from a queue of people waiting because there's only like maybe 2 squat racks and probably fucking 6,000 members there. And then like I was training full body, so I'd come in and I would be squatting, benching, deadlifting, bent over rows, overhead press. So I've taken that barbell and rack for like 2.5 hours, which, and I didn't want to be that guy, but then also I was like, I need to get my training in. A lot of the time I trained late or early, so it kind of avoided some of those issues, but
if you wanted to do decent training at, like most people do a 9 to 5, you're fucked.
Yeah, it's not ideal. And again, this isn't meant to be a knock at Pure Gym at all, because I think they're really good facilities in the sense that like you get access to a lot of equipment, more focused towards kind of cardiovascular training, although they are kind of creeping into like strength and conditioning stuff, but not doing it, I don't know, in my opinion, not doing it quite right. But anyway, and you pay nothing for it. I don't know what you're charging. Like they're like 18 quid a month, 20 quid a month, something like that. It's not a huge amount. But when you go to the gym at certain times of the day, you can't actually use any of that stuff that they've got because it's full. And I used to get so anxious going into BC, and I'm not really an anxious person, but I used to get so anxious going into the gym thinking, am I going to be able to get a squat rack? And then if I'd go in and see that, I'd park up, because there was glass windows there, and I'd park up, and if I'd see that rack available, I would run, and I wouldn't warm up. I would run to the rack, and then I'd just be like, I don't need to warm up, it's all right. I don't need to foam roll, I don't need to stretch, I don't need to do anything. I'm just getting in the rack and going.
But I remember that when we were training together, it was like literally 2 squat racks and 2 barbells. One of them was bent. Yeah, and it was literally like all the planets aligning if the squat rack was free with the non-bent barbell. Yeah, exactly. And this it always seemed to me anyway that the barbell and the rack were the areas that everybody wanted to get on, and I was like, why isn't there a gym that has more barbells and racks and less of the boring shit that people don't want? Yeah. And I waited. I waited for like years, and I was like, come on, someone's going to do it at some point. And like I followed loads of like fitness YouTube channels over in America, and I saw all these cool independent gyms like popping up left, right, and centre. Places like Barbell Brigade and stuff like that. That was like a huge influence for me. And I just thought somebody was gonna do that, and no one did. And I spent a lot of time on the road in my old job. I'd be doing probably like 50,000 mile a year driving to different sites, and I listened to lots of audiobooks because I don't know, I found it helpful. I'm dyslexic, so I struggle to read for extended periods of time. So listening to audiobooks is a good way of me getting information. And I was like, I'm doing this job. I'm not, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I didn't want to do it forever. It was very hard. I had to work away a lot. Didn't see, my partner much, or didn't have much of a social life. Training was challenging, all these other things. And I thought that by trying to educate myself, that's a way where I might be able to figure out an escape plan, basically. A way to do the thing that I'm passionate about, because fitness is the thing that I loved. And I had a conversation with Emma, and she said, like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I'd love to work in the fitness industry. And I did a PT qualification like forever ago. And she was like, but like everybody's a PT, and like, where would you work? You're going to work out of a Pure Gym, and how much money would you make the same amount of money that you're making in your old job doing this? And like sometimes, being a PT is really hard. Long hours, unsociable, and it's really hard for, like when I'm speaking to our PTs, like obviously they're doing a lot of hours coaching and things like that, but they do stuff outside of BCP that's not related to like fitness stuff, just to obviously keep working basically. Yeah, exactly. They're everyone they're busy, and our PTs are pretty fortunate that we keep them really occupied. But I've known so many PTs over the years, and probably less than 1% are successful. Realistically, probably less than 1% are successful, because the industry's super saturated. So you get loads of new PTs constantly qualifying, and they're all shit. And that's not because they're shit. That's just because when you're new, you learn what it says in the textbook, but that's not actually the things that get you good results.
Most of the PT qualification is a really low bar now.
It's like driving a car, isn't it? That people say that you learn to drive a car after you pass your test.
Yeah.
You'd literally do your driving lessons to pass that test.
Exactly, that's it. And, it's getting years of working with clients. That's where you get good. But also there's always going to be that new PT he's going to do two things. He or she is going to do two things. They're going to put a really, really cheap price on what they do because they're brand new and they have no clients. So they're like, I'm going to charge like £15, £20 an hour because that's the only way they're going to get clients because they're not experienced and they've got no credibility. And also they're going to potentially give PTs a bad reputation because they're not very good at their job at this point.
Yeah.
So they're doing two things that are really harmful to other PTs because good PTs will charge a decent price because they're good at their job. But then if they're getting undercut and then personal trainers in general get bad reputation, you're kind of doing two things that undermine it, and that's not anyone's problem. That is just the industry as a whole. It's very cutthroat, especially in commercial gyms, because they just get a load of PTs in there and it is literally just every man for themselves, and they're undercutting it. They're all meant to be working together and being friends, but they all fucking hate each other because they're all undercutting each other and they're all trying to steal each other's clients. And not everywhere, but some places are really bad like that, right?
You do hear it because obviously, like, people, you go into a commercial gym, and if their PT is off that day, you'll get someone else coming over and says, "Oh, I can PT."
Yeah, I was like, how much do they charge you? £30 an hour. So I can do it for 25.
Yeah.
Well, and they've got to make their money as well, and I get it, but I just do think that things like that really just hurt the industry overall. But yeah, so being a PT, it's a challenging thing, and I'm not very patient with people. I lose my temper. I'm not lose my temper, but I just get frustrated. And I know that, like, realistically, now after doing what I've been doing for a very long time, I'm very knowledgeable as somebody who would train somebody. But I'm not. My personality type doesn't fit that very well.
No.
You've got to be more emotionally intelligent than I am. You've got to, so you kind of have a better read on a person. I think you also need to just be more patient than I am, because again, some people really do struggle, and I get frustrated quite quickly too. So I think that with all of these factors, I just kind of knew that it wasn't the right thing. There wasn't going to be an environment where I wanted to actually work as a PT. So it was kind of like, well, why don't you make the environment? And I was like, well, that's something I've always wanted to do, because back when I was in my little garage gym, I always had like this idea of having my own gym. And in my head, it was like, because I didn't really understand business or anything like that, I kind of was just like, when I'm older and I'm more financially secure, when I'm like, I was like, in my head, I was like 50 and I've got, mortgages paid and this, that and the other, and I've just got some money because I've made money doing something else, whatever that might be. And I was just like, and then I'll just buy a gym or I'll make a gym. And I didn't actually think, okay, maybe this could be the means to become financially secure. I could actually set up a business that's actually going to make money, because obviously that's the point of a business, right?
Yeah.
Like a business has to make money, otherwise it can't stay there. You have your uses in terms of, I love the fitness industry and I want to help people get fitter and healthier and stronger and learn how to do things right and not make all the shit mistakes that I kind of made early on and bypass all of that. But if we don't make money, you can't exist. You know what I mean? No, you've got bills to pay, and we've got to pay you. All of our coaches have got their, like, this year alone, like, Kiri's got a house, Connor's got a house, Sean's got a house.
I've got a kid.
You've had a kid. Yeah, there's like a lot that's kind of gone on, and a lot of that wage is my responsibility. You know what I mean? So you have to kind of factor that in. But my brain at that time didn't even comprehend that I could, a business would make money, and that's how you would do it. So yeah, it was all this like kind of weird idea, and then there was just a moment where two and two came together of just like, I need to make a business. I've always wanted to have a gym. They are the same thing. And I was like, oh God, I'm an idiot. And then I was like, well, I have no idea where to start. So I just started literally listening to more audiobooks, trying to find things more specific to what I needed to know about. And then every single book I listened to, I'd always get one or two topics that I would, sometimes more, that I would need to investigate more. So I'd make some notes, and then I would get some books on those topics. So it was just constantly branching out. And Well, on my Audible account, because I've seen. Did I tell you about this?
Yeah.
It gives you like statistics, and it's like, so if you were listening to Audible for 24 hours a day, how long in total you've listened to books for, and I've got 4 months of 24/7 listening, 4 whole months. So that's how many hundreds and hundreds of books that I've kind of listened to, and I'd probably say 90% of them are kind of informative, educational books. Not always business books, but just about anything else. If I've got some shit I want to work on, that's kind of my go-to. But so that's part of it. That's pretty much how it started. It was a really long road getting there, and even once the doors opened, it was a really long road figuring it out, because I was so single-mindedly focused on getting the business up and running and going. I had not spent any time to think about how it actually ran, or how to make it successful. I was like, I will build it and they will come, kind of thing, and it worked to a certain extent.
Because you did obviously get like a good following just before, and like Gymshark's been here, and they still come down, don't they? And they do photo shoots, and like you built like a good online presence quite quickly.
Because this was back when social media was a lot more organic, and at the time I can't remember. I don't know how old I would have been, like 20, 25, something like that. So like relatively young, down with the kids,
hip and
cool. Yeah. So I was like, not many other gyms were like utilising social media as well as they probably should have been. So I was like, well, why don't I just start doing this all beforehand and start kind of.
You took photos of like building the gym and stuff like that.
Yeah, and built some hype.
Yeah,
built some hype, and it worked. It worked well. Yeah, we gained a lot of traction quite quickly. Can you remember when we did that business, like that gym business course?
Yeah.
And it was really funny. There's a bit where we were all sat around. There's a load of other gym owners, and we were all sat around this table, and they were all talking about how much they spend on their advertising. And these gyms varied massively. There was like a small little boutique gym that had like 50 members
in like Skegness, in like the middle of nowhere, all the way up to like middle of London, got 4,000 members, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it was like a huge, like really diverse group of people, and they were literally going around the table, and they were. I think it ranged from people spending about. I think the lowest was about £1,000 a month in advertising, going up to, wasn't it like? 5 or?
I thought it was like 5. Oh no, that's what you paid himself with it.
Yeah,
it was
like 5 or 10,000. It was quite a hefty amount per month on advertising. So yeah, it was like 1,000 next person, 3,000 next person, 2,000 next person, 1,000, and then it came to us, and then they're like nothing at all, and they were like, well, where do your members come from? And I was like, they just turn up.
But before that, we went round the table. It was like, oh, I'm so and so from such gym, and then they got round to us and was like, oh, well, I'm Lewis from Black Country Barbell. I was like, oh, I've heard of Black Country Barbell.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's nice, thanks. And then when we went round, it was like, we spent nothing on advertising. Like what?
Yeah, a few people had heard of the gym. That still blows my mind that like.
You meet people and like, oh yeah, I know what Black Country Barbell, and
loads of people do. And also, like, I'm going off topic again, but like, we send the clothing, buy the merch.
Buy now, out 1st of December.
Yeah. That we've sent it off to like Germany, Dubai, like
it's crazy.
Australia.
It's just like getting them through. It's like how do they know us?
Yeah, it is. It's crazy, and it's really cool that people want to like support us from all the way over there.
Because we are an independent. We're not like backed by like some massive company. We don't have like some brand behind us, like funneling all this money into us.
No, not at all.
It's literally, we are it. Like this is it.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. There's like obviously there's a few directors that help us with the finances and installation and stuff like that. But day to day, dream team.
Exactly. Yeah. I know. You should be worried. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything in terms of like the why behind it. Just there wasn't somewhere that I thought this should have been. It felt like there was something missing. There was just a big gap, and it turns out after opening, the reason for that gap is because we are a niche. We're a niche of a niche. Like the fitness industry anyway is a niche. Like,
Yeah.
the majority of people give no fucks about any kind of training at all. That's like most people. So then you say maybe you've got like 5 or 10% of the population that are actually interested in going to the gym. And then out of that 5 or 10% of the population, you've probably got like
1 to 3%.
Yeah, that are interested in lifting and getting stronger, or actually understand the principles of how to make long-term progress. Because most people just go to the gym, they train, they just do stuff.
Yeah, they walk around, look at the equipment, like, I don't know how to use that, but I know how to pull something down, so I'll do that for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. They don't understand like progression. They don't understand even like kind of biomechanics. Because why would you? When you're new to it, you're not gonna.
No.
And then if you're in an environment surrounded with other people that know nothing,
the information is not going to be passed on.
Yeah, it's not going to get passed on. So yeah, it just felt like there was a big thing that was missing. It felt like I was really fortunate, I suppose, because I got exposed to fitness when I was really young, and I'm also somebody who's quite proactive in, especially if there's something that I'm passionate about, I'll just like fully geek out about it, and I'll just like dive into everything as much as I could. So I got fairly well educated. You know, it still took me a long time. It still took years, and there's still loads more for me to learn. But you know, I kind of did progress above the average gym bro fairly quickly, and then started to realise that most of the facilities that are set up in the UK, especially the big ones, they're not really set up to get you long-term results. It's more a case of set up to make it as easy as possible for you to walk through the door and be as
dominant as possible.
Yeah, pretty much. Just user friendly. They want you to just kind of turn up and do something and think that you're doing okay, but not actually do okay,
or not turn up at all.
Or not.
Some of the obviously commercial gyms work on the premise that it's so cheap and that you just don't miss that £10-15 go missing every month and hope you don't cancel.
Yeah, exactly.
And hope you don't turn up, because if all their members turned up to train that they've got in their facilities, because some of them are good, look quite small.
Yeah, the floor would collapse, or it'd be like, you know, them like is it those trains in China, the bullet trains, and they're like forcing people in? Is that and they're literally like closing the door and everyone's just like sandwiched in trying to get on a piece of equipment.
Yeah,
but that works so well, that idea of it being cheap enough for people to leave it. I was training at a commercial gym while we were setting up ECB. Once I had opened Black Country Barbell, it took me 12 months to cancel my membership at the old gym because I was like, it's only like £11. And I was just like, I kept forgetting to go onto my online banking and do it. And this is me who owned BCB. I was paying gym membership elsewhere to not even go just because I was too lazy to cancel my direct debit. And you imagine how many hundreds of thousands of people do that across the country.
Yeah. But I mean, we've got processes in place and stuff like that we contact our members to make sure that they're still coming, because we don't, like, as nasty as it sounds, we don't want people who don't want to train.
No, that's it.
We want people who actively want to be here. Like, we put caps on our membership to make sure it doesn't get overfilled. So if you're not coming, we don't want you to be here, because there's someone else that does.
Yeah, you pretty much, you're wasting your money at that point. So we may as well open that space up for somebody else. So yeah, we often message people if we see they've not been in. We can get like alert systems pop up that it'll be like, someone's not been in for a certain period of time. Yeah. So we can just drop them a message saying, is everything okay? Do you need any support? Is there anything that we can help with? Yeah.
And it might be a case, I broke my arm, so I'm not going to be training. So like, okay, do you want us to do, like, we can do training around that. Like, we can get you started with a coach and we can make a program and work around it. And then most of the time they're like, I didn't even think about that. I just thought, because this has happened, I can't do this. Yeah. So it's just working around it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Again, probably not the best approach from a business point of view, but obviously because these big commercial gyms are super successful because there's bloody loads of them everywhere. But I kind of was like trying to do the exact opposite of everything that they did. So like, but they have, it's literally in their system, it's like sleeping members. So if you, if you don't turn up to the gym for a certain amount of time, because normally, these commercial gyms will drop you an email every now and then saying like, how are you doing? This, that, and the other, just like random automated emails. But if you haven't attended the gym for a certain period of time, you'll then be classified as a sleeping member. So it'll cut all communication just so it doesn't wake the sleeping member. So then you remember you've got a membership and you cancel it. Yeah. Whereas, we were like the opposite, where we were actually like are you okay? Do you need any support? Are you know, is there something we can do to help you? Just because, you know, it made sense. If you're a member of the gym, you should be training, right? But that's not the approach that most places have. But, you know, what do I know? Pure Gym's probably way more. Well, I say probably. Pure Gym's definitely better off than I am.
I mean, they have like hundreds of sites all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, we firmly believe that looking after the members on an individual basis rather than just letting them go off and do their own thing. And yeah, we do try our best, and it is just us running the show. I say just us, like we've obviously got
all the coaches as well. It's a good team, really.
Yeah, really good team. But we are just a small team. We haven't got like a headquarters in London or something like that that's running all our social media.
One day.
Yeah, one day. We'll have all this and we'll do this podcast again. We'll be on a beach in Hawaii. Yeah. Just like, all right, Hawaii.
We're on a beach on a phone.
In somewhere in China. Just like, they've taken over.
Right, I think that beer's kicking in now. Should we wrap it up there?
Yeah.
I think that was a successful podcast. Hope everybody enjoyed it. And if you did, leave us a comment, leave us a like, do all that stuff, and let us know that you actually want to see more of them. And if you've got anyone who you want us to actually have on as a guest, one of the members specifically, or one of the coaches, anyone, just let us know. I'll say anyone. You know, be realistic. Yeah. Like, you know.
So I'll get a king on. Yeah. You're right, Charles.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Hope everyone has a good day, and see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, how much?